Infinity Pool is directed by Brandon Cronenberg and stars Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgard. It tells the tale of a couple are enjoying an inclusive beach vacation in a fictional island of La Tolca when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of a hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. Surreal horrors. Well, yeah. Hey, if you're a fan of Alexander Skarsgard, and why is he standing with no pants on in this shot? I don't understand that, but okay, whatever. If you're a fan of Mia Goth because of X, because of Pearl, I said this in my initial reaction to it, guys. If you liked her because she's a psychopath in that movie, okay. But she also plays somewhat of a psychopath in this movie, and you're not going to like her. Like, you are going to despise her. Just the way that she was directed to use her voice in this. It gets very much underneath your skin. And for, well, the first setup of the movie, I really enjoyed. But it's one of those movies where it's so abstract. And you'll know that right off the bat by the way that the cinematography is done here by Brandon Cronenberg. Son of David Cronenberg, right? Just the way the framing is, like the things are really low down on the screen here like this, and the rest of it's kind of like open space. There's a lot of flashing that goes on in there. And I just want to correct the record here. When I first came out of the theater and I said that there wasn't violence, like there is violence in this. Yeah, you get to see people getting stabbed, people getting their throats slit. You shouldn't laugh at that, James. What are you doing? Anyway, yeah, you get to see that fairly graphically. But as a horror fan, that's pretty much expected, what you should expect to see. What I meant was, when you watch the trailers for Infinity Pool, it kind of gives the impression that there's some other kind of sci-fi element in this movie, right? That they're cloning people to hurt, pretty much, or for some reason that you don't know why yet in the movie first half, why they're doing it. Once it gets revealed why they are cloning people, you're kind of like, oh, okay, now I sort of understand what's going on here. It's not very well explained why they are cloning people, but yeah. It just kind of, okay, are these two people kind of, like we got a hostile situation? They're trying to corral them to be like victims, Mia Goth and this guy, because Alexander Skarsgard goes with his girlfriend there to this fictional place. And they just kind of gloss over some of the elements of how the cloning works. I'm reminded of a movie that I recently saw called Duel with Karen Gillan, where that also dealt with clones, and they just once again glossed over that whole process of how they're made and stuff. You do see them start to immerse him in liquid and stuff like that, and he's got this really weird mouthpiece on, but it's not kind of like, I thought that would be the focal point of some of the horrific things that you would see in this movie. That's the kind of violence that I was looking for, right? You get the impression that there's something going on here with the masks and stuff like that. That's just something to do with the island. Like people would get disfigured and you would see somewhat kind of more body horror-ish stuff rather than just the straight up violence of people getting their throats slit and getting stabbed and stuff like that. That's what I wanted to clear up. So, is it a good movie? Do you want to go check this out? Well, if you are a horror fan, yes, you want to check it out. If you're a Brandon Cronenberg fan, you want to check it out, Skarsgård fan, Mia Goth fan, then yeah, you're going to go check this out. But did it land for me? Did it resonate with me at the end? Because when I was thinking about it after I came out, I was kind of like, what is this movie trying to say? It's just kind of like a slice of life of Alexander Skarsgård's character there. He goes on this vacation and a lot of bad things happen to him. He gets into booze, drugs, he gets cloned, and they do pose that very interesting question of, okay, there is a clone, but are you the clone, or was that other person the clone, and they don't really explore that too much. It just kind of gets left behind, and you're like, wait, no. Less of this, and more of that more intriguing idea of them being clones and which one is the real one and what's going on here. There's that, they do a good job of establishing a sense of dread of being stuck in this country because his passport goes missing too, right? So it's kind of like mixed with that. You're possibly getting charged with a crime. You got all of these crazy people running around trying to force you to do weird things, and it's kind of like, yeah, that part of the movie worked, but you don't really know exactly what their motivations are other than the fact that they're just crazy, right? And it's 2 hours. If it was an hour and a half, I could probably champion this movie for a little bit more than that. But January, it started off with Megan, and a lot of people really like that. That was like a softball horror. Infinity Pool is more of a art house abstract horror that may not resonate with a whole lot of fans. I appreciate what they were trying to do. They were showing elements of body type horrorish stuff, laying the ground for work for it, with him like urinating and stuff like that. Yes, it gets that weird. It started to go to really weird stuff, but it's just kind of like it pulled back for some reason, and it didn't land for me as hard as I wanted it to. Okay, so let's go over to the Rotten Tomato meter and see what people are saying. 88% as of, well, Saturday, so it's only been out for a day, guys. 53% by the audience. So the audience isn't liking it as much as the critics. Let's look at some of the snapshot reviews and see what people are saying here. See if we agree with them here. Okay, it's the grand, I don't know what the heck that word is. Fever dream of a bored Roman emperor. That's a terrible, what the heck? And they put that in the quote on the front page, Rotten Tomatoes. Unbelievable. Toronto Star says, Brandon Cronenberg delivers the shivers and more than a few what the F moments. Yeah, it does have a few of that. With a vacation inferno creeper that gnaws at the mind. Yeah, vacation creeper. So like, is this supposed to be like a cautionary tale of, hey, when you go out to these vacations to weird resorts where they tell you, don't leave the resort, is it like one of those cautionary tales? Like, that's as close as I can get to a theme that I could tell you guys what this movie's about. That's, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just missing the simplicity of it. It's possible. So, yeah, maybe I need to let this stew for a little bit, and maybe I won't be as harsh on it as I will be in just a few moments. The Chicago Tribune says Cronenberg knows what he's doing, and this most assured act of science fiction. God damn you guys with these words. Effrontery to date. Just get out of here with these words. That, like, how is that supposed to sell the movie for people? You like the movie, but how the heck is it's jargon? It's jargon, right? It's like me telling you stuff that is just get out of here with that. Twisted and unpleasant. This is not for everyone, but it offers an unrelenting look at the dark side of humanity. Yeah, and there is the dark side of humanity in there, questioning what would you do to stay alive, kind of thing. But it doesn't really dwell on that too much. And as far as the title goes for Infinity Pool, I don't know why it's called that, because it has nothing to do with the cloning process. This never happens in the movie either, guys. Sorry, spoiler alert. Yeah, that's a promotional shot. Is that all they do for that? Yeah, Mia Goth, as I said, you won't like her in that movie, and I don't know why this person has a character poster, because she's barely in it. And it does have some cuts in it where it's like, wait a minute, I thought you went back somewhere else. I thought you left. Why are you back in the movie all of a sudden, right? It's kind of like, what the heck's going on here? Yeah, so it's a little bit jarring in its editing, guys. I think for the most part, I'm going to land somewhere in between the critics and what the audience feels. It's not nearly as good as an 88. An 88, no. It's not an 8 out of 10. It's not a 5 out of 10 either. Infinity Pool, I probably have to give a 5.5. 6? 6? There you go. That's it. 6 out of 10 for Infinity Pool. Are you guys going to go check it out? Let me know if you did in the comments below. And that final shot is just kind of like, just for me, solidifies exactly what I'm trying to tell you. It's kind of like, what's this movie about? Why? Okay. Why? 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 Okay. Guys, that's it. If you liked what you've seen, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. On top of this, we do movie news shows live daily. Not daily, Monday and Friday, but we're pretty much live every day. So in some respect, if you want to come in and talk with me on the live chats, by all means, come check us out. Okay, that's it. See you next time on Mirror Domains. Okay. All right, let's get down into some spoilers. What did I mean by that last shot? Okay, and it's not really too spoilerish because this resort has kind of like a rain season. And the final shot is just him getting ready to leave the resort, and then it's raining outside. We pan across the beach where like there's like some cabanas or whatever, and some not benches. What do they call them? Beach recliners or whatever they're called, right? He's just sitting on it, raining, and it's kind of like, oh, he doesn't want to leave anymore. He actually likes it. Okay. Again, it's kind of like, why? The movie doesn't really do a great job of explaining that to us as to why. Like, were they trying to say that maybe he was the clone at the end and that's why he liked it? Bifer says in the live chat, Infinity Pool original cut was NC-17 but trimmed to get an R rating. Yeah, that's what I said in my initial reaction. There's a lot of nudity in this. So if you want to see people nude, then by all means. And I'm not talking only females. We're talking males too. Full Monty. In fact, if that's your bag, a couple of girls behind me was just kind of like, ew, when you saw a male thing, right? Well, you know what I'm talking about. They were like, ew, that's gross. It was like, I was kind of like, girls, yeah. I think they were fans of Mia Goth. That's why they were there. Because they watched X, they watched Pearl, and it was like, yeah. The sexual nature of it all. There's sushi rolls and bats and balls. Yeah. So yeah, multiple times. And now you don't get to see Alexander Skarsgard. Well, you see his butt and you see him topless. We've seen that in Northman, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, that was pretty much expected. It's just the rest of the cast and crew here that you see a lot of nudity from them. But yeah, okay, so here it's like they're all about to get tortured and brutally murdered. And it's like, okay, if they can just pause here for a moment and say, is that the clone or is that the real one? And have that explored. I guess the director, Brandon Cronenberg, wanted us to have that in our own minds, to postulate that, to make that up in our own mind. And they were forced to watch themselves get murdered. So it's kind of like, yeah, in that aspect, it was a little bit brutal. But the trailers kind of sold the masks, right? And that's what I was saying. Those weird masks. And yeah, they go into like, this is supposed to be like the cloning chamber. It's like, okay. This is very Cronenbergish. This is something like a vision that like his dad would do, right? I got hints of like Crimes of the Future in that, right? Yeah. But yeah, so when he's getting killed here, it's kind of like, yeah, I guess it is sort of brutal. And yeah, you really hate her, especially at the end when I think the director intentionally made her talk in a very high-pitched voice all through the end, and you hate her. You're just like, it's like nails on a blackboard. It's so shrill. But like, just looking at her here, though, you can tell that like the camera likes her. She's got that charisma. Mia Goth definitely does. Um, but once, yeah, they just, it's like, was it intentional that he wanted to be engrossed by these people? Oh, and it had the captain there from King Kong in it as well. Peter Jackson's King Kong. He was the boat captain. And this one, he's kind of like a police officer. There's a hint of I know what you did last summer in this, because they do hit a pedestrian on the middle of the road kind of thing, and that's one of the things that they're like, okay, we got to get out of this resort now, and as part of the plea deal to get out of there, they got to get cloned, so that the victims' families can have retribution and basically kill you, right? And that's going into a lot of the detailed plot. And yeah, there's that weird thing that this is him going into the cloning chamber. It's kind of like just a big bathroom. Very low tech, not very science fictiony, but yeah, it just becomes more in I got, what is it? How do I articulate this? Like, you know how in Fight Club, when Tyler Durden goes into that convenience store and brings out the guy, the clerk with the gun, and saying, what do you want to become? Do you want to become like a veterinarian and stuff? And he's like forcing him to basically go off and say that he's going to become a veterinarian kind of thing, right? By brute force. And then Cornelius is like, what was the point in that, right? That's what I felt like coming out of this. It was kind of like, okay, you're showing all this stuff. He's going through all this brutality stuff. He's being forced to do killing and all this weird, insane stuff. But then at the end of it, I was kind of like, what's the point of that? Right? Because it's kind of like, I guess he liked it because he stayed at the resort afterwards, even through the rain season. I guess he liked it. But as an audience viewer, as somebody watching this material, how does that work for me? What does that do for me, right? Not much. And that's what I felt about Infinity Pool. All right. I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about with spoilers. There are some things in there, as I said, with a lot of the flashy stuff. It's a bit long. It's just too long. If you guys see it, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it and some of those spoilers. And I'll talk about spoilers in the comments section below. Okay, so that's it for me about Infinity Pool, guys. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about. Let's get back into the horror movie news headlines of the week. And, yeah, let's talk about HBO and The Last of Us. Season 2 is official. HBO officially orders The Last of Us Season 2.